All right, everyone, welcome to Stats Edge Trading. On Friday, we go through what is probably what I think the most interesting chart of every single week while we get prepared for Stats Edge Pro members to get their 30 plus trade ideas, all with 25 years of back-tested data to prove that there is some edge in what we do with our entries, our exits, our stock selection, all of that kind of stuff. If you're interested, again, go to StatsEdgeTrading.com. You can see over my shoulder here and sign up, get going, and make sure you are trading with edge. Now, without further ado, there's going to be a little bit of lead up to this because it is not the S&P 500, but it's something to keep an eye on here. And first, I just want to draw a little bit of a VWAP from this all-time high before and highlight this area right here where it broke through. So if you haven't read Brian's book about maximizing trading gains with anchored VWAP, definitely pick it up. It's a great book. The idea behind VWAP is it's combining price action and volume, and it's combining those two things together to say what is the average market participant from any given point. So that's what this blue line represents is, hey, where's the average person? If you started buying the S&P 500 at the worst possible time, at all-time highs, and say, every couple weeks you just continue to buy, your price is going to be roughly around where this blue line is. The reason that that's important, the reason that that makes sense is because there's the easiest way to measure sentiment is to whether or not we're above or below these VWAPs. If we're above these VWAPs, most people out there are doing well, their accounts are at highs, they're happy, they're more likely to buy more stocks. If we're below these VWAPs, it's quite the opposite, right? People are not at equity highs and they're in a drawdown and they may be a little bit more cranky about that. So that's what we're seeing again. When we break through that price, you can see a nice uptrend. And just some more examples here. We have Meta, and we had a nice little breakthrough here on Meta. If you had bought that breakthrough, that would have been a great looking trade. Again, these are very kind of systematic kind of entries that you can look at. Nvidia, the same thing. When we broke through that anchored VWAP, you started a nice uptrend there. You can take a Hack, which is the defensive or cybersecurity ETF, same thing. So as we break through these VWAPs, there seems to be some amount of follow through when we're in bull markets. And the beauty of it is you would know right where you're wrong. Any kind of weekly close, any significant close below that VWAP, you're saying, hey, I'm wrong right here. Probably time to go. So if you're buying that breakout, your stop is like down here, a little tight stop, and then you get the kind of push. The reason I bring that up, because I wanted to go to XBI here. So XBI is your biotech sector. And you can see not only not at all-time highs, but really hasn't got going at all in any respects. So what I want to start doing is looking at sectors like this that look promising and look like they could potentially be breaking here. So I've got the same circle, the same VWAP, not from the all-time high, but from this prior cycle high. So essentially, if you started buying during this major high right here, which is the prior cycle high, you're at that price right now. And at least as of recording this video, this is the second weekly close above that. Now, the reason that I think this is important is because it shows potentially what people are thinking about interest rates. So biotech as a industry is one in which you take out a lot of debt, you raise a lot of money in hopes that you're building a drug that's going to have a massive impact. And if your drug has a massive impact, then down the road, you get all of the money you put in R&D plus a whole bunch back. That's the idea of what we're trying to do in biotech. And that is a lot easier when interest rates are lower because then you can borrow for cheaper, you can do more R&D, you can build more drugs, and then when and if those solve a significant problem, right, you're right back to making that money from it. So we've been below this for a little bit of a time. We've actually been below it since the last time we were above would have been December 2024. And we're below this AVWAP since then. And then again, just recently broke out and we have another weekly close out there. So that makes me very interested for the space in general. Now, individual names inside those space, I'm looking at names like potentially Halo, which is inside this ETF, which has the same kind of setup where from May, this is the tariff tantrum kind of candle right here. And then all of a sudden it's coiling back up and it's getting back above that anchored VWAP. These to me are potential interesting longer term holds because if this is going to be a sector that the market is going to be rotating into, I have a pretty clear place, right? XBI as a whole might be another way to just trade it where you're just taking the actual sector. And the idea is that if we can stay above this anchored VWAP, worst case stop probably at this 80 buck area, this last pullback right here. So you're buying around 85, your stop's around 80. And if you're right, the question is, can you make 10 bucks? Could you get to 95, which is just right here? Well, that's a good risk reward trade. Anything above that is gravy. So this is just a sector that was interesting. I saw on Twitter, shout out to the All-Star Charts guys when talking about this, that I thought was my most interesting chart of the week, the one that I'm going to take on the weekend, start to think about, start to build some game plans for maybe discretionary trades against these. Also, the reason I look at these is because at the end of today, I will be running all of the data for the week that will produce all of the signals we have for last week of when we're going to enter and what we're going to enter and why, and then what our stop loss and profit target will be. And say there's a bunch of those that come through on Monday. There's like 5 trades that come through. Well, if I can only take 1 or 2 and they're biotechs, well, I'm going to probably favor the biotechs over anything else because I really like the sector. So that's why I like to do this big macro analysis, even though for trading, I am more systematic because it just gives me a feel of, hey, if this sector's hot, that's a sector I want to get into. So again, thank you very much. If you like this content, you like the videos, again, make sure you're subscribing and sharing and all those things annoying YouTube and content creators tell you to do. It really does help give a little boost from the algorithm. And until I talk to you guys next time, go to StatsEdgeTrading.com and then get away from the screens.